I'm here to discuss another reality. It's one that you hope you'll never have to think about on a personal basis, but you know the possibility is always there. America is a nation of pride, of resilience, of grit, but of all else, we are a nation of hope. Václav Havel, a Czech statesman and poet, once said, "Hope is not the conviction that something will turn out well, but the certainty that something makes sense regardless of how it turns out." This, to me, is the essence of medical research. There are few guarantees when it comes to medical research. No assurance that any single clinical trial will reveal the best treatment option, that one experiment will lead to groundbreaking discovery, that one promising grant application will result in a breakthrough cure. But there is certainty in funding medical research, certainty in knowing that while not all trials, experiments, and grants will result in a breakthrough, some of them will. Because of medical research, kids with a simple ear infection or pneumonia can find relief with antibiotics. Because of medical research, we have vaccines that have saved tens of millions of lives worldwide. Because of medical research, we have anesthesia to allow patients to safely undergo major surgery. Because of medical research, people are surviving heart attacks, beating cancer, living with HIV/AIDS, receiving organ donations, surviving drug overdoses, and living longer. There's a lot more to be done. So many people are still hoping and praying for more. The wife hoping for treatment that will slow down or stop her husband's ALS. The father or mother hoping for a cure that saves the life of their child with glioblastoma, brain cancer. The son or daughter hoping for a medication that helps their mom suffering from Alzheimer's to remember who she is. And you know who offers that hope? The National Institutes of Health. It is our nation's premier biomedical research agency. It is considered the gold standard around the world. For decades, NIH has been a bipartisan success story, with Congress privatizing the funding of promising, life-saving medical research in all 50 states, prioritizing, creating and supporting good-paying jobs in red, blue, and purple states, and offering real hope to families desperate for it. Consider this. 99% of all drugs approved by the Food and Drug Administration between 2010 and 2019 were developed with NIH funding. 99%. See all those ads on television about breakthrough drugs? 99% of them started with the government agency known as the National Institute of Health. NIH means new cures and treatments. It's that simple. And yet we find ourselves today at a point of decision on the future of medical research in America. President Trump and his billionaire buddy Elon Musk and our nation's health secretary have decided to take a sledgehammer to NIH and medical research writ large. They have illegally cut off funding for medical research around the country, terminated clinical trials in progress, placed gag orders on researchers, and fired more than 1,000 NIH employees. Think of that. 1,000 NIH employees have been fired by this administration. Instead of bolstering medical research, they're breaking it. Instead of offering hope to patients in need, unfortunately, they're crushing it. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, and RFK Jr. are either completely oblivious to what they're doing or they just don't care. But you know who isn't oblivious? Many of my Republican colleagues, many of whom have fought by my side to increase the NIH budget by 60% over the past decade. This was a bipartisan effort over the last 10 years. Roy Blunt, conservative Republican senator from Missouri, was leading the effort most of the time because he was the subcommittee chairman in appropriations for NIH. In addition to him, Lamar Alexander, a thoughtful conservative Republican from Tennessee, and Patty Murray. We're the team, the four of us. We just kept reminding people year after year, budget after budget, that medical research would pay off and do so if we committed ourselves to it, and it worked. Many of my colleagues on the Republican side came to understand that and gave us their support as well, which is why their silence now, their refusal to say anything or to act in the face of President Trump's dismantling of NIH is just so devastating. This is a truly bipartisan issue, medical research. We ought to step up and say to this administration, or any administration, for God's sakes, don't cut back on medical research. You know the price we'll pay in the years to come. If Republican senators won't stand up for NIH funding in their states, for constituents in their states, I'm going to do it. I plan to come to the Senate floor in the coming weeks to talk about the importance of medical research and NIH funding, even in red states across the country. Today, I'll start with the state of South Dakota, home of the Senate Majority Leader. In 2024, South Dakota research institutions received nearly $29 million in NIH funding, which supported 453 jobs in South Dakota. Sanford Research, University of South Dakota, and South Dakota State University were among some of the top NIH-funded institutions in South Dakota. So what did they do with this federal money? Could they survive an audit if they had to explain how they spent it? You decide. Sanford Research, University of South Dakota researchers, used NIH funding to support their Center for Pediatric Research, a specific focus on training new scientists to study pediatric diseases. Is that a priority? If it's your child or grandchild, you bet it is. South Dakota State University used NIH funding to increase cervical cancer screening among Indigenous women who face higher rates of cervical cancer prevalence and death. They also used funding in South Dakota to develop new targeted therapies for colorectal cancer that are safer and more effective than current chemotherapy. These researchers know that cuts to medical research mean diseases will not be cured and treatments will not be found. They know the mass, indiscriminate firings at NIH don't just mean we're losing talent. It also means we're losing time and progress. Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "May your choices reflect your hopes, not your fears." I'm pleading with my Republican colleagues. May your choices reflect your hopes for new cures and treatments for patients fighting cancer, ALS, Alzheimer's, and heart disease, not your fears about what will happen if you cross this president. Let us do what's right. Let's come together again on a bipartisan basis for medical research. Let's make it clear to this president and every president, regardless of party, medical research is not partisan. Medical research helps all people, conservatives, progressives, you name it. Everybody gets a helping hand. Let us do what's right. Let's come together and save medical research for every single person in America who is desperate for hope. Mr. President, I yield the floor.